All right, man. Peace. All right, man. Peace. Yeah. Shout out to Chronicles of Judah 144. Go check out his channel. Now, what I'm gonna do basically is revisit and redefine the ether force. Maybe even look into a little bit of dark energy and antimatter or dark matter. Isn't that interesting? Dark matter and dark energy. They had to make up dark energy and dark matter just to make sense of 90% of the universe. They just write it off as dark matter and dark energy. More than 90% of the universe is written off like a tax form. It's just a tax right off the universe. There's only one person here. That's hilarious. Yeah, I'm probably speaking to myself. All right, speaking to myself. Wait, all right, cool. Oh man, that's amazing. So let's shorten this up. There we go. Now you can see that. Yeah, what I'm going to do, I'm even going to look into see if the sidereal forces are. Is the sidereal force? I know there's sidereal time. Is there sidereal force? What does sidereal mean? It means being affected by the celestial lights and bodies. The animation from the stars or stellar regions, which helps to build and feed one of the inner human principles. Oh, the sidereal force. Oh, of course, it's Babylon's. So now, isn't this now? And then you have Star Wars with the Jedi Force. Now they really who's that? That's George Lucas who teamed up with a philosopher and a mythologist, Joseph Campbell, who's directly related to the Esalen Institute. For you Matthew North, Jesse Spots, Logos Media, pathetic Jan Irving's out there. Jan Irving is pathetic. I actually like Jesse Spots and Matthew North. But yeah, let's see here. So the sidereal force used by Pericles to denote an emanation from the stars or stellar regions, which helps to build and feed one of the inner human principles. He recognized the existence of higher forms of matter, subtler embodiments of the monad, and the intimate relations between the universe and man, its offspring. There are a number of such sidereal forces, each one of which has its respective influence upon the different principles of the human constitution. Words such as sidereal and astral are used somewhat vaguely in theosophical literature to designate invisible manifested planes of various hierarchical grades, both cosmic and human. Interesting, it uses cosmic with a K. That's very interesting. And I didn't even know that was going to say that. This was not planned. Right? This part was not planned. I have this planned. I got that planned. I got this planned. I got that planned. I'm going to play some Manly P. Hall here in a second. Manly P. Hall is going to talk about the different invisible energies and sidereal forces, and also talk about different types of magical forces. Also talking about the different levels and planes of existence. And also talking about the etheric force, because we are etherical beings living in and among, breathing in and out the ether, the infinite and eternal ether that many people call God. Breathe her in, breathe her in. So yeah, that's really interesting. Now let's go back here. What does sidereal mean? I mean, that was good enough, but I kind of want to look into it just a tiny bit more. I'll get out of here. Oh yeah, see, sidereal of relating to the. Oh, I want to look at sidereal time real quick. The stars are constellation, the constellations, sidereal bodies, sidereal systems. There's also sidereal divisions of time, determined by the daily motion of the stars. Sidereal relating to a measurement time relative position of the stars. See, this is just basic astronomy here. We're just looking at some basic astronomy here, folks. Settle down now. Settle down. I know there's only like 1 or 2 people here, but you gotta settle down. You gotta learn. You gotta sit down, take time out of your day, and learn something from other people. Like Manly P. Hall. Listen.
The subject for the morning has been an object of considerable controversy. And back in the old medieval periods, there were very elaborate works dealing with magic. Magic sometimes uncertain, often unsavory in those days.
Oh, but first, let's play a tiny bit of 10-second clip of music.
Brimstone, thunder, and lightning. I'm gonna set this place on fire. Burn it down entirely.
All right. 7 watching now. Like and share. I appreciate you being here. What up, Ace? Hey, I'm Ace McCloud. I never want to go on Subgenius's panel. I only want to chill in the hangout and other people's hangouts, but never really want to go on your panel though, Dan, and talk about psychedelic shit. Hey guys, I'm on LSD right now. I'm on a whole strip of it. I don't want to, Hey, what's up, Judith? Hey, what's up, Darren? What's up, Jose? Ariel? Ooh, yeah, it's all good. Good. Like and share.
Dark circles at the crossroads, haunts, various forms of black magic. All these finally gathered together under the general term of the astral light.
The
word itself, of course, is a perfectly innocent word. It really means, essentially, the effects of the stars, the convergence of star energies upon the atmosphere of the Earth. We have a feeling of what they do when they affect us, by astrology and by weather and by numerous meteorological reports. We are informed, at least in part, of starry influences.
Hey, how's the audio? Could you? The audio will get better. I mean, how's the audio? You can hear it, right? You can hear Manly. I know he's a little muffled, but just listen, slow down, like this joint, like I'm about to do. I'm about to light up my joint. It's a beautiful joint, and just listen. How's the audio? What's up, Brian Stavely? Real News Online. Okay, cool. Lord help us, Tampa. Voinak. Jose. Darren. Good. This is important. This is super important stuff. I'm all gonna tie it in. I'm gonna make really good sense of this. I'm gonna break down some astrology, some philosophy, and occult nonsense. I did have something more important to say. But I'll let him say it.
But the effect of these influences upon the Earth's subtle atmospheres became the basis of an elaborate structure in magical thinking. First of all, we have to follow the general pattern of antiquity in the discussion of the planet itself. We think of the planet Earth as merely as a sun of balls surrounded by some atmosphere and floating in a great sea of space. This is not the way the ancients looked at it.
No, not at all. The ancients didn't look at the Earth like a ball, a rock covered in water, surrounded by black dicks and floating around in space. They're the ancients of antiquity. They don't think like dumb monkeys.
They considered the planet to be based upon the same general pattern as the human being himself. Man has a physical body and he has invisible principles operating through it. To the ancients, the earth had invisible principles. The earth was not merely a lump. The earth was an organized structure.
The earth is not a fucking lump. It's not a little potato lump hump in space. Hey, I'm a earth. I'm a potato. Shout out to Patricia. Hey, my buddy called me up the other day. Do your friends call you up? And do they go, hey, Dan, do you ever Google your name? And I go, well, yeah. And he's like, dude, I found some crazy stuff about you. I'm like, yeah, I know. He's like, dude, you got a lot of information out there. I'm like, yeah, I know. And he's like, it's funny. There was Patricia Steer was rooting for you in 2016 or 2015. And she was like, yeah, Patricia Steer is rooting on sharing Dan Falk. Share Dan Falkenbach. Root for Dan Falkenbach's flat earth comedian who's fighting the globe earth comedians. Wow, Patricia, I didn't know you were rooting for... Well, I knew you liked me back then, but now you have me blocked. And that's okay. Of course. You can block people. I block people every day, like you should. But sheesh Louise, wasn't that obvious? By the way, I have a new idea for a series for all the flat earthers out there. This is another thing that you can copy off me, and all the flat earthers will start doing it. Now, I think all the flat earthers should go back to if they did an interview with Patricia Steer on Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes, and all flat earthers should start the reacting to myself being interviewed by Patricia Steer and Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes. So let's go back and speed up our interview, and watch how innocent and how much I don't want to hurt her feelings. I gotta act a particular way because I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. Everyone's got little PC snowflake cunty feelings. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. But yeah, all the flat earthers who got interviewed by Patricia Steer should go back and commentate and watch the things that they said. I'm going to do that. I'm going to probably be the first one to do that. If not, somebody else will copy it off me, and that's okay. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, so my buddy calls me up and he's like, dude, that's funny. She was rooting you on back then. I'm like, yeah, she has me blocked now. And he's like, man, that stinks. I'm like, yeah, well, what are you going to do? Some people, are religious minded and they team up with Robbie Davidson types who sneakily and obsessively hop on celebrity trains and celebrity worship and get certain people. I got Logan Paul. I got an A-lister, Logan Paul, to come to the International Con. Oh, that's a A-lister, huh? Logan Paul? Jesus. I predicted Logan Paul was bad for the flat earth a year before he got into it. And I also have proof of that. Man, it's like I just see this shit coming. And now I got, what do you think, Owen Benjamin's just gonna be 100% positive? Of course, he's just using it for his material, like everyone uses it from their material. Oh, by the way, I'll show that afterwards. I'll check the chat in about 2 minutes. Listen to this.
A structure that was capable of supporting life and passing through innumerable vicissitudes and operating through it. To the ancients, the earth had invisible principles. The earth was not merely a lump. The earth was an organized structure, a structure that was capable of supporting life and passing through innumerable vicissitudes and changes of itself. There was not only a visible earth, but an invisible one. There was not only a physical earth, but there was a superphysical one. And the invisible structures of the earth, like the aura of the human body, were energy fields. And these energy fields were involved in the evolution of everything that exists in nature. All the kingdoms of life are nourished by the energies from appropriate levels of the energy fields. A large part of magnetic healing is a result of energies being directed, either by human consciousness or by various medicinal substances which carry these energies. Therefore, the whole planet is a vast organism, a tremendous, vital, dynamic structure, of which we in our daily living see only the outside and the surface. Beneath the surface is not just simply vast strata of rocks and volcanic forces. The invisible part of the earth is a tremendous being, or as the ancients put it, the earth is alive. The earth is a living thing. It is not simply as a body or an object. Everything that exists in some way or other is alive. There is no death in space, but constant transformation. So the earth itself was a being. And in the mythology of the ancients, they had appropriate deities to symbolize not only the earth, but all of the separate parts of the earth's structure. The earth has its own mind, its own emotions, its own vitality. It not only is able to support life, but it is able to direct life. It not only brings us all the different forms of energy and life which we know in daily living, but it is behind it a conscious, rational power. Now, most people today, of course, don't believe this. Science has taken the attitude that man is the mind and the rest of nature is in existence only for man to tamper with.
Now, these people, on a daily basis, I have to deal with. I constantly am challenging people, and I'm constantly asking them, like, do you think that you're more intelligent than the Earth and the universe? And I'll actually be more gentle than that. I'll start off with, do you think that you're more intelligent than animal kind, than the animals? And honestly, it's like 60-40, and it depends. Sometimes people, a lot of people think that they're more intelligent than animals just because of programming and because they're an animal. But I just have to remind them of the intelligence of the earth and like the things that it creates, like beehives and the intelligence behind a beehive and a bee's nest, and how a bee's nest has built-in defense mechanisms. And if a simple bee's nest could kill many people because of the intelligence built inside of the bee's nest, well, then imagine what the Earth's intelligence is capable of. Yeesh. I mean, I've literally gotten like my buddy. I've been at my buddy. Yeah, I got this one buddy, Joe Rogan. My one buddy. He brought over his coworker, and he was arguing with me about how he's more intelligent than animals, and I just kept they just get so angry. They're like monkeys throwing poo at a wall. It's incredible.
But this is not the way antiquity viewed it. The ancients were convinced that there was a tremendous vital power behind the physical form. Researches on the magnetic field of the human being have justified the realization that man also is both visible and invisible.
So research shows that man is visible and invisible. Yes, that is true. And Manly P. Hall also just mentioned the vital force. Now, could you guys let me know in the chat room, because there's about 10 to 15 people here now. Could you give a like, and could you let me know if you have ever heard of the vital force, or the vital principle, or the vital force principle, or vitalism? This is an old theory in the 1800s. It was rediscovered, I'm not talking about the Jedi Force. So don't, if I already talked about the Jedi Force and how that's obviously was its own agenda recently, and it still is to this very day. They're creating dark Sith Lords. Disney is literally creating dark Sith Lords, and they murder children along the way. And yeah, I'm trying to create gray Jedis and the Jedi Force and make sure there's the Skywalker Force is still out there. But I'm not talking about these mythological cinematic forces. I'm talking about, has anyone in the chat room heard of the vital force or the vital principle? Because this is something new that, I mean, I've heard of, like the, Constitution. I know what having what fortitude is. Physical fortitude and a strong constitution. I played Dungeons and Dragons and many video games growing up. I know about the abilities and statistics and the qualities of a good warrior. Okay? So I'm just looking into the sidereal force, and I still didn't look into the sidereal time. Sidereal legal definition, that's interesting. Ooh, thoughts give birth to a creative force that is neither elemental nor sidereal. See, this is just flat out interesting. Sidereal time, force, pressure, and energy. I mean, these are all very important things. Hey, I'm Red's rhetoric. Do you know what pressure is? You know what pressure is? Well, if you don't know what pressure is, the Earth's not flat. There's no such thing as multiple perspectives and or multiple perceptions on perceptives. It's just too hilarious. Orbital periods. I'm not going to even get into this. A sidereal period. Distorted force. Curves of sidereal cosmos. Ugh. Now we're just getting weird. Gravitation and tides. Uh oh. The sidereal month. Oh no. Oh no, folks. See, there's all. See. Oh no. But I'm not going to get into that yet because I'm interrupting Manly P. Hall like an asshole. But I'm trying to. Still only got 12. That is pathetic. Okay, so did you guys hear of it? No. No, never. No, I've heard of the concept, but never studies anything solid. Yeah. Sidereal force. Yeah, I will. You look into it. Why do you think I'm here? All right. Yeah, I'm actually going to go into vitalism real quick. So this is, of course, it's going to take a second. So this is vital force principle. Principles of vital force. Berzelius defined this theory in 1815, settling down 3 principles with it. Synthesis of organic compounds requires a vital force. Only living organisms. See, this is some good shit right here. A vital force. Now this is like homeopathic natural stuff here. Homeopaths perceived an intelligence, variously called the dynamic principle or vital principle, the dynamis, the dynamis, or vital force, which is responsible. I mean, this is good stuff here. I love it. Vital principle, vital force theory. See, this is good. Now that I gotta look into real quick. I'm definitely looking into the vital force theory. I mean, because these are all old stuff. We gotta revisit and redefine these things. You know, because once in the scientific community, a term like the ether force or the ether gets discredited and or disproven, it gets thrown in the scientific closet, only to be revisited decades and centuries later. And so I will be looking, and Manly P. Hall will be talking more about the sidereal force, the vital force, and the etherical forces here in a second after I show you some shit about the vital force. And myself, I've never looked into this. This is all live research. See, that's the thing about, I could be all, prepared and have this all read, but I want, it's kind of like I'm reacting to it at the same time and showing you my organic, the way I do my research, or at least, I mean, this isn't how I do my research or particularly want to. If I was really doing my research, I can do it quietly by myself and not being interrupted by parents or friends or responsibilities like dogs or other people's creatures that you have to take care of. If I don't have any of that. I don't have children or creatures that I take care of, besides my parents' dogs. And so I wouldn't necessarily, but this is fun to me, and it also encourages and empowers and inspires other people by showing them how easy and authentic that you can be, and how simple it is to simply just do some fucking research, show yourself doing research, and boom, you got yourself a following, an audience of people online, of really intelligent people. Some stupid people will stalk you and lurk and not say anything in the comments and try to make fun of you. But it doesn't matter. You can just keep going and ignore those pieces of shit. So let's look into the vital force. Hyman and his followers believed that the essential nature of a living being was not to be found in the physical tissues and organs of the body. Homeopaths perceived an intelligence, variously called the dynamic principle or vital principle, the dynamics, or vital force, which was responsible for the coordination and activities of life. This idea was and is actually very popular in many traditional cultures. In the modern world, though, we are accustomed to considering the physical world as a purely material one. Everything else is part of the non-scientific spiritual realm. As a modern science, conventional medicine conceptualizes and analyzes human life as a set of material functions seated in physical tissues. Nothing can so clearly illustrate the difference between these two points of view as the matter of life and death itself. The legal and medical worlds increasingly struggle with the definition of death based on physical functions alone. The experts must determine which organ and what physiological functions hold the kernel of life. Is it the brain? Is it the brain? And if so, what part of the brain? Or is it the heart and the circulatory function of the lungs and respiration? Actually, the determination is possible and ultimately the decision is arbitrary, but the layperson, relative, or close friend can often sense when the real life has gone out of the body. It is not a matter of the brain or heart still functioning, but of the vitality and responsiveness that defines life. I mean, I can look further into that, but I'm not going to. The nature of symptoms. I mean, that sounds interesting and all, but I want to see this vital force theory, definition, and principles. This is the more scientific one that I was interested in. You know, because I actually like to study and research my research and learn new things and actually be transparent while doing it and be vulnerable while doing it because I'm showing you what I don't know, and I know that other people know. I know that other people know way more than me. It's like you got to relax. I know that there's people that know way more than me, and I can't wait to fucking meet them. Make your idols your rivals. Tear and kill your idols. Tear your idols down and make your idols your rivals. Chapter 14, Lesson 2. Vital force theory, definition, and principles. Ooh, a video. Ooh, chapter 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at all this good stuff. Num-nums, brain and mind getting yum-yum. You gotta make your mind your best friend. You gotta make your mind your best friend. You gotta make your mind your best friend. The door's gonna eat you alive. The basic concepts of what? Damn, this lesson is in multiple courses. Yeah, 35 chapters, 279 lessons, 31 flashcard sets, nom-noms. All you gotta do... Oh, these are all fucking videos? What? Shut up, Catherine W. Teacher, I love the video lessons. The students seem to like these as well. I also appreciate the fact the students can retake quizzes if they are not satisfied with their first attempt. That's called being a smart teacher, Catherine. I credit you. Oh, I'm going to make a video about homeschooling your kids and encouraging homeschooling your children and other people's children if and volunteering. That's a way you can get paid. If you need to get paid, then become a homeschool teacher and put your name out there all over. You know how many people want to hire a homeschool teacher to teach their kids different subjects and things? I've done it before. I've been paid under the table by parents. I've been paid by the government, and I've been paid by different states to teach children different subjects, and from kindergarten all the way to kids that can basically vote. And this is very interesting. Wow.
What separates living organisms from non-living organisms? Scientists have been exploring this question for millennia, and the definitions have changed throughout the years.
That's pretty dope. I'm gonna check out what you guys are saying real quick. All right, good. There's 13 watching at least. Although there's definitely more people watching, just to let you guys know. My numbers are totally lowered. Let's see here. Yeah, yes, absolutely. Okay, I gotta smoke this joint real quick. Wow, I almost put the lit end in my mouth. Wow, I also got coffee. Nice, I got coffee and a joint, man. Nothing better than coffee and a joint. 10 likes, thanks guys, appreciate it. Yeah, I didn't get much sleep. Let me take a hit of this cannabis for us real quick. All right, let me. Magical chemistry, cool. Cool. Oh, dude, that's some good stuff right there, Candor. That back right before, it's really interesting. Right before I decided to make my move to go from the East Coast to the West Coast and become a performing comedian and homeless teacher, homeless comedian teacher. The Theosophical Society in Buffalo contacted me, and that's when I first was introduced to H.B. Blavatsky and the Theosophical Society and the Secret Doctrine. And they handed me a pamphlet of basically the what's it called, the cliff notes of the Secret Doctrine, and that's where I first learned of J.D. Krishnamurti ever in my life, was at that meeting that I went to. And I learned about, that was when I first learned about the root races, which many flat earthers have no idea about, and I still haven't made a video about, and I still have to do. Let's see here. Other flat earthers have, they just hear what I say and they look into it and they make a video off of it and they don't give me any credit. Just like that's what IPS does. IPS just is in my groups, and he looks at the shit that I share, and then he compiles a list of all the most interesting ones and makes a video on it and has people call in. Like the weeks have gone by, and everything that I share, I'll share it like 12 hours before, and then in 6 hours he'll be having a live stream talking about it. It's hilarious. Shout out to Infinite Plane Society over there. Praise Bob. It's hilarious. Yeah, the cable used for the internet is called the Ethernet cable. Nothing to see here. Darren, yeah, exactly. I prefer it to be real rather than staged. Yeah, Darren, you just got ethered. Conspiracy nuts. Let's bring this term back, folks. Whenever we roast someone, let's call it ethered. You just got ethered. Like if you're in a flat Earth debate versus a dumb globe earther, and you just flat smack the shit out of them, just be like, dude, you just got ethered. It's over, dude. I just ethered you. You've been ethered. Oh, you've been ethered, son. So let's see here. Grandmaster Wolf, a Chi Master, does magic. Check out. Cool. I definitely will check that out when I revisit this afterwards. Darren, undersea cables are not real. The ether is being used to transmit. That's an interesting hypothesis there. I wouldn't doubt that at all. I wouldn't doubt that at all, Ace. Let's see here. Yeah, I know. Just saying they used the proper name. Another theory in computer world, internet only works because we manifest it. That's cool. YouTube lied. 30,000 listened. Damn. What's up, Udit? Is that? I'll give you a wrench, right? Computer terms are interesting. Motherboard, daughterboard. Yes, and if you look at a city, it looks like a motherboard of a computer, and so that means that there's negative. That cities are negative frequency generators. That's what a giant city is a computer motherboard that is generating horribly malevolent and negative frequencies out to the entire city. Now, back in the old days, in the apparent old days, with the Egyptian days, their structures that were mostly pyramids, where they would beam out. They would have like a force field around them, a consciousness, a morphogenetic field that would increase the consciousness of the inhabitants that lived inside of the pyramids, especially if you were on the inside of the pyramid. What's up? What's up? All right, cool. Let's go. Let's listen to Manly real quick.
The invisible part of man is sidereal. The ancients were convinced that there was a tremendous vital power behind the physical form. Researches on the magnetic field of the human being have justified the realization that man also is both visible and invisible. The invisible part of man is sidereal. It is an energy field. It has its own memory. It has its own records. It has its own morality and ethics. And when a human being with his mind is sidereal, it is an realization that man also is.
You gotta listen to Manly. You gotta slow down. You gotta smoke a joint. Oh, and shout out to Jesse Spots. You need to smoke a joint, dude. You need a fucking blowjob more than I do.
Both visible and invisible. The invisible part of man is sidereal. It is an energy field. It has its own memory. It has its own records. It has its own morality and ethics. And when a human being with his mind transgresses the ethics of the magnetic field, he gets sick. Because everything in nature is constantly laboring towards an equilibrium, which will keep things as nearly in order as possible. So we look at the earth now as a kind of world with many levels. The Egyptians did the same thing. They, the old tombs are still old.
Wait, what did you say, Manly? You said something about the world as levels. That's how the Egyptians and the old ancients of antiquity thought. What was that?
Everything in nature is constantly laboring towards an equilibrium.
Everything in nature is constantly laboring towards equilibrium. Ooh. That's basically like saying water always. Don't say this around Antonio. Water, always, what do they say? Water always tries to find its level. Water will always find its level. No. Now I'm going to say nature always labors towards its equilibrium. You see how I just upgraded my scientific terminology and vocabulary? Sucks, globeheads. I'm increasing my intelligence. I'm showing you it live. 'Cause nature always labors toward equilibrium. Equilibrium.
Keep things as nearly in order as possible. So we look at the being with his mind transgresses the ethics of the magnetic field, he gets sick. Because everything in nature is constantly laboring towards an equilibrium.
You don't want to fuck up your mind, globeheads. You'll get unhealthy and you'll get fat. You'll turn into a fat globe belly. Your hair will fall out and you'll have a fat belly, globe belly, and a dumb globe head. I got a nice, beautiful set of hair on my head. I ain't balding. I ain't fat. Should I make a video in my underwear with my donk fucking poking out? You want to see me shake my donk around, Pancho Pete and Shadow, and all you other fake flat earthers out there and trolls? You want me to take my clothes off and stick my donk out there and give you a little shake and shake my donk around? You want to see me shake my donk around? Shake my donk around. Hey, Pancho Pete wants to see me shake my donk around. Hey, should I start laughing maniacally like Pancho Pete does? Jabby! Jabby! Look at you shake your hips down there! Oh, Jabby! Dude! That's the definition of a paranoid schizophrenic, maniacal laughter, folks. Pancho Pete, I warned you months ago. Now listen to you. Yikes. People literally just cringing in watching your videos from listening to you laugh like a fucking... You're like Ed and Eddie and the hyenas combined, all laughing together. Yikes. Dude, you gotta like take care of your child a little better. People gotta like flat Earth fathers got to unite out. How about we make a flat Earth fathers group out there? All the flat Earth fathers out there and the single fathers, they can all have a group, and we can all. Well, I'm not a father, but you guys can all unite.
It has its own morality.
Because you guys seriously need to take care of your kids more and stop worrying about the flat Earth so much, because it's showing.
In ethics. And when a human being with his mind transgresses the ethics of the magnetic field, he gets sick.
You see what I mean? He gets sick. I looked at myself. I looked at a picture for myself from 5 years ago. I was a beautiful angel. Now I have gray streaks in my hair. I mean, I am 33 years old. Remember.
Because everything in nature is constantly laboring toward an equilibrium, which will keep things as nearly in order as possible. So we look at the Earth now as a kind of world with many levels. The Egyptians
A world with many levels.
did the same thing. In the old tombs there are still old diagrams showing the levels of the planet and of the solar system, and of all the invisible beings that dwell therein. The Tibetans and Buddhists had the seven heavens, and so did
I want to go. I want to see these tombs and hieroglyphics of the levels. I want to take pictures of that. That'd be dope.
the Christians in the Apocalypse. All of these mysteries are now counted as merely aberrations. Well, some of them probably are aberrations, but what is an aberration? What is it that causes the individual to create fantasy? What is it that causes him to emotionalize every fact of his living?
Belief.
There has to be an emotional energy or he cannot do it.
Belief and imagination.
There has to be a mental energy or he cannot think. There has to be a vital energy or the body could not be repaired in case of sickness. The growth of the child would be impossible. So everywhere there is life behind the scenes.
Yo, let me know if you're enjoying this or just fucking leave. Have fun in the comments, have fun, or just listen and meditate. I don't know. I don't want to tell you guys what to do. I'm sorry. I mean, I have to set boundaries, Like you gotta set boundaries, Healthy boundaries are important.
Recognize the possibility of life behind the scenes. He wanted to look at it, to find out about it, to do something with it. He was not content simply to live in a mystery. So he went to work, but unfortunately, he was not well equipped for the job. The energies which he was seeking to understand were also in himself, but he had never done anything with them in himself. He had never attempted to organize his own life and bring it in harmony with the universal purpose. He was determined to take this universal purpose and force it into harmony with his own purposes. So there was a conflict here, and out of this conflict, magic was one of the byproducts.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a good idea. See, you're trying to force the universe to do a certain thing when you should be allowing the universe or Bob. Allow Bob to do your thinking for you.
It was one of the experimental structures in which the individual was attempting to understand the energies around him, moving through him. And
I'm only going to listen to about, I'm going to skip up to a certain point here in 30 seconds, and then Manly P. Hall is going to talk about the etheric energies, and that's only going to go on for about 3 minutes. I'm going to check the comments, have some more coffee, and enjoy myself like you should be doing.
Seriously conditioning him. Among other things, he discovered that his mind could control not only visible and physical thoughts, but invisible thoughts. The mind of the individual could create thoughts. And where are thoughts? What are they? How are they born? Do they live? How do they die? Here is something that we pass over. We don't even try to explain these things. We say we had an idea one morning.
Oh shit! And I have I gotta read off this Science and Nonduality, and that's only 2 paragraphs long. And then I gotta show you this video here, Aether Revisited by Beverly Rubik. Ha! So I'm gonna speed that one up, and that's gonna be like 18 minutes. So shit, I'm gonna have to chill. And yeah, so are you.
Where did it come from? Was it any good?
Here, I'll check the comments. I mean, you should be enjoying yourself. Laugh out loud, damn, that's for real. Embrace the slack. Haha, touche. Sneak Jesse some edibles. That's the opposite of voodoo science, of entropy, stupid theory. Esoteric, flatty. Miles per hour? What's that? Fuck all you stupid dumbs. Oh, glove tires. Jesus. Wait, what? What even is this? Some kind of... So, Ace, you're already losing your mind? Some kind of duality versus esoteric mysteries versus insanity hour? Jesus, man. This dude has the patience of a duck. Actually, a duck has a lot of patience, so I'd say the patience of a fish. Sorry. It's like the people like have the attention spans. They have like why are you even here if you it's just part of the programming, same as a computer. Just overwrite the virus out of your program. Exactly. I'd like to see Pancho Pink give you respect. Yeah, right. Dude has no respect for himself. You expect him to give me respect? I don't fucking need people's respect, Judith. I don't need people's approval and I don't need people. That character from what's it called? That one dude with like 20 personalities and he has the beast, like the giant creature. He turns into like an unstoppable creature. The one dude talks like that. He's like, I don't need your approval. I don't need. It's just so funny. No, you're like, what is this? It says redefining ether force and the vital force principle, non-duality, quantum entanglement, and I'm smoking a joint, and yes, I am doing exactly that. And for the most part, it could be considered insanity. So you're not wrong, but you have to be. This society is completely and utterly insane and sick. So to be insane in a insane society, well, that would make you sane, because it's like that's the opposite. I'm like I'm I'm unsane. It would be called unsane. Look into unsanity, Ace. It might help you. And guess what, Ace? I'll look into shit as much and for as long as I want to. I'll stretch things out for as long as I need to. That's the thing. I don't like people dictating how I speak or what I talk about and for how long. I'll just when anyone wants to like talk about or question certain things or assume stuff. Assuming, see, like you assumed. That's a very key thing that keeps coming up with me. Like when someone assumes something, well then I have to tell them, they're either correct or they're wrong. So let's see here. Oh, I need some coffee. All right, check this out. I'll skip it up to here and listen to this. Listen to this. 1717. This is important.
Power, and to determine the way or means of the influence. To begin with, the influence arises from believing. Believing is something which leaves a person open to the unfamiliar and also makes possible the miracle. Without believing, the miracle is virtually impossible. But with believing, faith, and trust, with belief that it is possible, miracles of incredible proportions have occurred. There is no doubt in the world that there is a means or power by which the individual can attract circumstances or circumstances out of the strange mystery of the inner worlds which he inhabits. So we have to come now to the consideration of the structure of magic and how it really came into existence. I think we must, first of all, determine that behind the physical world there is a world of energies, and that these energies are stratified. That behind the physical body is an etheric energy, a kind of ether, which permeates the body, and that much difficulty and sickness and sorrow and misery result from the defects which arise in the ether. The etheric body is attached to the physical body, largely in the area of the spleen, and the physical body is constantly energized from a certain definite structure. In other words, the energy that comes into the body of the individual is supposed to arise primarily from nutrition, from air, and from sidereal influences of one kind or another. Influences can also be communicated from one person to another, and an individual highly venerated has a much stronger.
Now, did you hear that? Now, listen to how important that shit is. Listen to this. And that's exactly what I'm doing right now, too, by the way. I'm literally, like, this is a transmission. We all transmit shit to each other. You know that. You know that. But we're in cyberspace. We're in virtual reality. Well, halfway. So.
It's primarily from nutrition, from air, and from sidereal influences of one kind or another. Influences can also be communicated from one person to another.
That's exactly what's going on right now. Now listen.
And an individual highly venerated has a much stronger effect upon others than one who is not so venerated.
An individual who is highly venerated has a much more important effect than one who is not. Meaning, don't follow or listen to or waste your time with stupid, useless flat earthers and globe earthers. We, and I need to stop wasting our time, so much fucking time, with horrible, mentally ill globe earthers and horrible, mentally ill flat earthers. I mean, we can try, but honestly, just do your own. Like, seriously, reach your hand out, say you're sorry that you're going down that way. But you know, you gotta go. I mean, I'm still gonna do the Flat Earth Globe Earth Alliance. And that's still happening. It's gonna happen really soon. But here's the thing about that. The globe earthers, they just latch onto a certain low bog level consciousness. It's just low. They're in space. They're in Star World. They're in Star Wars land. They're in imagination land. Imagination. Imagination. So they're in imagination land. I'm just going to call it imagination land from now on. South Park already made it up. So the globe heads are in imagination land, and that's where all their fucking fantasies exist, and all their theories, and that's where their life exists. And imagination land. I'm sorry, I'm cracking up internally. Hold on, let me internally, cosmically giggle. Oh, that's a funny one. That one literally like changed the neurons and the physical dimensions of my body. I feel more venerated. Okay.
So all around us, believing is releasing, changing, moving energies. It is conditioning them for good or for bad. It is conditioning the bad conscience to face the probabilities of punishment. It is conditioning the dedicated mystic to the realization that sometime he will have all the answers to the questions that he asks. Everywhere, a kind of...
Doesn't that sound nice? Did you hear what he's just said? Fucking listen to that. Doesn't that sound fucking beautiful and nice?
Mystic to the realization that sometime the energies. It is conditioning them for good or for bad. It is conditioning the bad conscience to face the probabilities of punishment. It is conditioning the dedicated mystic to the realization that sometime he will have all the answers to the questions that he asks. Everywhere,
and sometimes they go, hooray. That's hilarious. This video shows the body mapping of chi, different states of mind, happy, laughing, cold, sneezing, everything. Oh, cool.
Kind of mystical sympathy exists between things. This mystical energy also relates to deity, for the most extreme and abstract of all problems is God. And God is the source of all life, and the universe is the structure through which this life is disseminated. Therefore, somewhere, whether we see it or not, is a great arterial system of energies. These energies moving from one level of application to another.
One level.
One stream of energy feeds the trees and another one feeds the flowers. Everywhere, however, energy is supporting all things that live. Yet the energy apart from something that lives is definitely impossible to define. Energy can only be known by what it does. Energy can only be assumed to be real because without it, many questions could not be answered. So we have an energy field of life. This energy field is part of the health of each person. The energy disseminating through the body moves through all of the circulatory system. Some of this energy is in the tiniest cell or atom. Part of this energy gives us the power to think. Another part gives us the power to walk. All this energy of some kind is real. Now, we have long assumed, for example, that the body just takes care of itself, and if we feed it regularly, it'll take care of us. This is a complete lack of understanding, and it has very serious consequences, because it prevents us from cooperating consciously and intelligently with the energies which do supply us the necessary elements of health and survival. Therefore, somewhere in this pattern, there is an energy, a sea of it, a great ocean of it, which, like air itself, it may be its principal carrier, that fills all of these vacancies of space, exists in every creature, shares its reality and its power with the horse and the tiniest insect. Everything is supported and is alive because of a life principle in it. And this life principle is not sustained by food. It is not sustained by exercise. But its condition and its ability to function is largely influenced by the conduct of the creature that it inhabits.
Ooh. Your health is created by your conducts. And this energy force and pattern that we're dealing with, this etherical energy that's permeating all around us and from us, that's the same one that made me create this video. And the same one that made me tell my story at Manly P. Hall's Philosophical Research Society when I went there recently. Well, not recently, actually. It's nearly been a year. Sweet Bob Almighty. So, like, that was my last video, was talking about the Church of the Subgenius in Manly P. Hall at the at Manly P. Hall's Philosophical Research Society. And now my next video, which was not planned to be this way, it was supposed to be about this video, actually, right here. The Aether Revisited, and that's what, if you look in my description, it says nothing about Manly P. Hall. It just so happened to be Manly P. Hall's lecture, Magic, the Astral Dimension, and What Lay Within, and what he says about the etherical forces and the sidereal forces made me look into all these different things, tie all these different things together, and now I'm going to play this video right here. After I check your comments, I'm going to read this to you, which is only about 2 paragraphs long. I'm going to speed this one up, and then I'm going to end the transmission with Tesla's vibrational machine technology, which is being reproduced and manufactured today and right now. Interesting. What's up, Ronan? What's up, Dan? Share and like. Thank you. I mean, I really, like, this is really cool. Like, there's 35 chapters, 279 lessons, 31 flashcards, all these videos. Are you kidding me? I'm definitely going to be watching this, but I'm not going to bore you with vital force theory, definition, and principles. I'll do that on my own and increase my own intelligence in secret. Yeah, so I'll spare you from that. And sidereal force, I'll basically, I do want to look into the legal definition and learn more about the vernal equinoxes. And I mean, I know what a freaking equinox is, but I'm not quite sure 100% about sidereal time. So I do want to look into that more. And yeah, sidereal motion, bad astronomy. So yeah, there's a lot of different things that I need to look into. This, let's see if it comes up. Cool. Non-duality and quantum entanglement. White-robed monks of Saint Benedict. This is, ooh, copyright, nice. And with permission. So this is, yeah, this is good stuff here. By, you know, Science and Non-Duality Conference here in St. Raphael. This is by a PhD here. Got a PhD article here. See? Ali Hamid. Nice, nice. So I'll go into that in a second. Like I said, I'm not going to bore you with vital force theory, although, and yeah, the vital force principle, or the and vital force theory, or even with vitalism. But actually, you know what? I am going to check out what vitalism. So let's go check out what vitalism is real quick. It's only going to take a second. Come on, let's increase our intelligence really quickly, guys! Yay! It's like people need to get like, oh, I gotta increase my intelligence more. Ugh. It's like, just shut up and increase your intelligence, you fucking complainer. I complain enough. I complain about complete people complaining, and then I'm fucking doing more complaining. So it's like, shut up. Okay, so this article is about the non-mechanist philosophy. For the Jan philosophical concept, see vitalism. Ooh, Janism. Nice. See now that I mean, what the fuck? So there's different types of fucking vitalism. Sweet Christ, sweet Bob Almighty. Vitalism is the belief that living organisms are fundamentally different than non-living entities because they contain some non-physical element or are governed by different principles than are inanimate objects. Where vitalism explicitly invokes a vital principle, that element is often referred to as the vital spark. That's just a beautiful term, the vital spark, energy, which some equate with the soul. In the 18th and 19th centuries, see, I told you we're going to learn something. Vitalism was discussed among biologists, between those who felt that the known mechanics of physics would eventually explain the difference between life and non-life, and vitalists who argued that the processes of life could not be reduced to a mechanistic process. Some vital biologists proposed testable hypotheses meant to show inadequacies with mechanistic explanations. Nice. But these experiments failed to provide support for vitalism. Oh, okay. Well, biologists now consider vitalism in this sense to have been refuted by empirical evidence. Yeah. And hence regard it as a superseded scientific theory. Nice. Oh man, yeah. That's a good one. That's a good one to look up. Superseded scientific theory. These are all old theories that have been thrown in the trash can. Vitalism has a long history in medical philosophies. Many traditional healing practices posited that disease results from some imbalances in vital forces. That's what Manly P. Hall was talking about. That our whole entire health and life force and constitution comes from our the products of basically our mind and our thoughts, what we invoke in our intent. Interesting. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not going to look at the whole thing. I don't want to bore you with that. I mean, we got materialism, the creationists, epicures. Damn, that's some old shit. So this shit went pretty far back, huh? Well, I mean, this is only wiki, so. Alright, that's enough. Emergentism. Some aspects of contemporary science make reference to emergent processes. Oh, okay. Emergentism. Those in which the properties of a system cannot be fully described in terms of properties of the constituents. This may be because the properties of the constituents are not fully understood. No shit! Or because the interactions between the individual constituents are also... It's just like... They're so fucking full of themselves. Mesmerism. A popular vitalist theory, animal magnetism. Ooh, animal magnetism. Interesting, because we were talking about animals and how I get into arguing with people about the intelligence of animals compared to human. Variant magnetic force. See, there's different forces. And there's mineral magnetism, like literal magnets, cosmic magnetism, and planetary magnetism. Different magnetic forces. Very interesting. See, I mean, like I wouldn't have known that if I scrolled down just a little bit more. That's interesting. So medical philosophies, we all know where this comes. We all know. Cool. Criticism, yeah. Fuck you off. Etheric body. This is all good stuff. This is exactly what mind-body dualism. I mean, this is all good stuff here. Now, yeah, I pretty much can get rid of this. Neo. Why am I theosophy? So neo-theosophy, used by the followers of Blavatsky. Neo-philosophy. So then those Neo, I am Neo, I am the one. So you see how it says, see how it has the A and the E combined? Etheric body. It has the A and the E. So yeah. See a vital. See how it's the vital force. That's why I tied that in there. So the etheric body, ether body, a name given by neo-theosophy to a vital body or a subtle body. Propounded. I love that word. See, I have been saying that correctly. It is propounded. Fucking idiots. I have been using that right. It's propounded in esoteric philosophies as the first or lowest layer. It's the first or lowest layer in the human energy field or aura. It is said to be in immediate contact with the physical body, to sustain it in contact with the higher bodies or the invisible energies. Blavatsky, see, this is all good stuff here. Oh, the plane, etheric plane, yeah. I mean, that's the whole point. Etheric plane. The etheric plane is a term introduced into. That's the Ooh, I want to look into this guy. Yes, I want to look into you. Look how that guy looks kind of nice. I mean, I don't know. He looks pretty intense, actually. His name's Leadbeater. Is this fucking like the guy who made the dictionary or something? Charles Webster? Like, who the fuck is this Leadbeater guy? Hyperplane? What the fuck is that? Hyperplane? I remember like years ago, 2015, I was making a funny video on all these different planes. There's so many different fucking planes in video games. This is probably from a video game or something. Oh, okay, it's in geometry. Cool. Oh, nice. Yeah, hyperplane. In geometry, a hyperplane is a subspace whose dimension is one less than that of its ambient space. Whoa. If a space is three-dimensional, then its hyperplanes are two-dimensional planes. While if the space is two-dimensional, its hyperplanes are the one-dimensional lines. See, I remember people trying to introduce me to Steiner years ago, and I was like, yeah, I will. And I did a little bit years ago. And I think I have a book of his. And yeah, he has, and there's a lot of different flat earthers who have actually adopted Steiner's theories and pass it off as their own. It's funny. Like people like LSC, they have ripped off other people's theories and just passed it off as their own. It's really pathetic and sad, really. That's why he's in jail or in a mental institution. Let's see here. The term ether, see, with the AE, etheric plane, also written as ether, you see, was adopted from ancient Greek philosophy and science into Victorian physics. Ooh, Victorian physics. Luminiferous ether. Ooh. A different type was the postulated medium for the propagation of light. it was invoked to explain the ability of the apparently wave-based light to propagate through empty space, something that waves should not be able to do. The assumption of a spatial plenum. Yeah, I'm actually going to do a video on the plenum soon. That's another term I learned. I didn't really look into plenum until recently. It's especially the quantum plenum. Sweet bobbinly Christ, conninly Christ. But man, I mean, just shit goes on forever, folks. I mean, Christian roast. I mean, that's what's going on here, folks. These people claim to be Christians, yet they're following Freemasonic Rosicrucian philosophies and traditions. I'm a flat earther. I'm a Christian, and yet I follow Luciferian Freemasonic philosophies, and I don't. The chemical ether, life ether, light ether, reflective ether, memory of nature, world of thought. Beautiful, beautiful terms. See, they got good stuff, folks. Talk about angels. This is the video that I did. I was talking about the Buddhic plane. Yeah, the causal plane, the astral plane. I did a video in the past about this. See? Yeah. A concept from Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, the ethereal. So it's just unbelievable. We've just been stealing from the past, taking it off, passing it off as our own. Causal plane, monadic plane. Each one of these videos, it could be out. Each one, you can make a fucking hour-long video or a 2-hour-long presentation on each one of these fucking planes, folks. Okay? It's beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. Going back. I mean, that's just vitalism. Vital Force, Center for Homeopathy. And I didn't even look into watch any of those videos. And I still got to check what's up with you guys. Still got 10 people watching. Probably if I refreshed, it would go up. But what are you going to do? That's funny. Exactly. Well, the Freemasons, as in the Stone Masons, I mean, that's been around for 1,000 years. And well before that. Fuck. It's fucking cryptic as fuck. All right. So don't need to. I'm gonna close that out. I'm gonna close this out. I'm gonna close that out. And now, check this out. There's only 10 or 11, 12 people watching. Boom. I'm gonna drink what's left of my coffee, have an apple, do some stretching, and listen to this yet again. I should have got. Now, this is an interesting fella here. If you don't know who Jeffrey Mishlove is, you should. He's an interviewer that was on television, I think PBS, in the early 90s. And he had a television program running for years. And he had over 200, nearly 300 interviews with some of the greatest intellectuals and scientists and healers and teachers that ever existed on the plane that we live on, including I think Robert Anton Wilson, Terence McKenna, John Lilly. Oh man, the list goes on and on and on. It's unbelievable the people that he's interviewed. Bob Dobbs. He actually interviewed Bob Dobbs. I'm not kidding around either. The physical version of Bob Dobbs. And you might think I'm kidding, but I'm not. And wait, no, that was Alan Steinfeld. Yeah, Alan Steinfeld interviewed Bob Dobbs. My bad. Jeffrey Mishlove didn't interview him. But Jeffrey Mishlove interviewed many beautiful and amazing people that have inspired me along my way. And guess what? Boom, he's back. He's now back on YouTube. He's got 52,000 subscribers. It used to be called Thinking Aloud on PBS with Jeffrey Mishlove, and now it's called New Thinking Aloud. And he's interviewing people on YouTube again. It's like, yes, I love it. and he has this called Aether Revisited, and I took and so I'm going to commentate on this. I'll get. Shout out to the curve, to the CGI, and the flat Earth yin yang.
Thinking aloud. Conversations on the leading edge of knowledge and discovery with psychologist Jeffrey Mishlove.
Hello and welcome. I'm Jeffrey Mishlove. Today we are going to revisit the 19th century scientific concept of the ether. With me is biophysicist Dr. Beverly Rubik, who is the president and founder of the Institute for Frontier Science. She is also a professor of integrative medicine at Saybrook University, and she is the president of the U.S. Psychotronics Association. Welcome, Beverly.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
Pleasure to be with you once again.
Yes.
The concept of the ether, of course, it was very important in 19th century physics, but actually, I suppose you could say it goes.
People watching this will be like, "Oh my God, he's doing a Masonic hand symbol."
Goes back to Aristotle.
It goes back to Aristotle, and it also goes back to the ancient world. It's in the Vedas.
Mm-hmm.
We can
Association. Welcome, Beverly.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
Pleasure to be with you once again.
Yes.
The concept of the ether, of course, it was very important in 19th century physics, but actually, I suppose you could say it goes back to Aristotle.
It goes back to Aristotle, and it also goes back to the ancient world. It's in the Vedas.
Mm-hmm.
We consider the concept of the akasha.
To be equivalent to ether.
To be equivalent, yes. It's the way we would interpret that, which was the substrate, really, of giving rise to all of creation,
mm-hmm.
together with a life force, the prana.
Yeah. The idea of the akasha, of course, as I understand it, is that it contains the memory of everything that's ever happened anywhere.
Yes, the akashic records.
Yeah. But Aristotle referred to the ether as the quintessential element.
Yes, Aristotle saw air, fire, earth, and water as changeable elements, but in his cosmology, the ether was also essential. It was kind of that which held the substrate of all those changeable elements, and
mm-hmm.
which itself was unchanging.
Mm-hmm. So one might think of that as equivalent to space.
Yes, today we would say the vacuum or so-called empty space.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, these conjure up absolutely nothing inside, but as it turns out, there is no really empty space,
no.
Even in every view of science.
Well, I gather that in the 19th century, as radio waves were being discovered, the electromagnetic spectrum was being explored. The idea was that electromagnetic waves need to propagate through something, the way waves on the ocean propagate through water. So,
exactly.
So the ether was postulated as the substance through which electromagnetic waves propagate.
Yes, and it makes sense. I mean, what is waving if you have nothing there?
Mm-hmm.
For example, sound doesn't travel through empty space without matter, and does electromagnetism need a substrate? Well, Faraday thought so. His whole theory of electromagnetism was based on the notion of an ether. We forget about that in modern science. We still use the laws of Maxwell, and that's our latest understanding of light and electromagnetism, but somehow we threw out the ether. But,
mm-hmm.
but he embraced it. It was absolutely essential.
And as I understand it, basically it was Einstein's theory of special relativity that didn't require the ether, and then they did the Michelson-Morley experiments that people regard today as having disproven the concept of the ether or the necessity for ether. You disagree?
Well, that's...
By the way, this relates to the experiment that the Flat Earth documentary on Netflix, where they're like that the globe earthers claim to have proven the, what is it, the curve, the roundness of the Earth, right? Is that what they say? It's just like they quote and source a flat Earth people and a flat Earth experiment as their proof for the globe Earth. It's just so hilarious. But yeah, this a lot of this relates to the recent experiments that the flat earthers have made. We, you know how they say we.
Of the ether or the necessity for ether, you disagree. Concept of the ether or the necessity that people regard basically it was Einstein's theory of special relativity that didn't require the ether, and then they did the Michelson-Morley experiments that people regard today as having disproven the concept of the ether or the necessity for ether. You disagree?
Well, that's the history in the books. Certainly, I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
But they actually found an ether drift. What does this mean? They were looking at light traveling in this direction and then perpendicular to it. And they said, well, Earth is rotating in a certain way. So if we...
Now this is where it gets fucking wizardry. I mean, there's a lot of wizardry involved here. There's a lot of wizardry involved in everything. But, you know, you just got to discern through it. We're taking the good bits.
What does this mean? They were looking at light traveling in this direction and then perpendicular to it. And they said, well, Earth is rotating in a certain way. So if we have it moving in the direction of the rotation of Earth, or against that rotation, we should see ether drag. We should see a slight change in the speed of light due to the rotation of the Earth.
Like when an airplane is circling the Earth, it either has a headwind or a tailwind.
Exactly. The drag of this rotation.
Yeah.
But they didn't find the predicted value of 30 kilometers per second. They found a lesser one. It was 8 to 10, 25 to 30% of the expected value.
So it wasn't zero.
No, it wasn't zero, but somehow it was still interpreted as a null result.
Mm-hmm.
And later, some decades later, Miller also did these experiments extensively and also found the same values, about 10 kilometers a second ether drag, or so-called ether drag, due to the rotation of the Earth. So it's amazing that...
No, it's due to the rotation of the ether. You stupid fuck. There's the fucking stars are going around us, and there's a clearly an ether around us. There's something that the sun, the moon, and the stars are going around us. Like what is the confusion? How are you confused about that?
Or so-called ether drag, due to the rotation of the Earth. So it's amazing that based on that experiment alone, we all think that there's no ether. Einstein's theory of relativity did not need an ether, but Einstein made a speech in Holland, as I recall, in the early 1920s, and he said it was really impossible to throw out the ether because empty space had many properties related to electromagnetics, and so we really needed an ether. Mm-hmm. That's what he said in German.
He said if there were no ether, there would be no properties at all to empty space.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so we forget that. Even Einstein gave precedence for the ether, but his own theories did not require it.
Well, as a student of esoteric culture, I'm very much aware of the fact that the Theosophists and many other esoteric organizations talk about etheric energy. And these days, if you ask me about it, I would say, well, you find many discarded scientific concepts that were picked up by mystics, like the astral plane was such a concept at a time when they thought in medieval times that there were these heavenly spheres associated with each of the planets.
Right.
And so the astral plane was like ascending to the realm of the planets. But now, maybe there's a need to reevaluate the concept of the ether, just as we reevaluate the concept of the akasha. People are saying we got to take a second look at that because people are talking about universal consciousness, zero-point energy, and any number of other energies like orgone energy that permeate space.
Exactly. There are so many of these, even in conventional science, the concept of dark energy and dark matter from cosmology that make the equations work. I understand they're finally having some evidence of this down at CERN.
That make the equations work. So the nonsense, totally made up shit that constitutes over 90% of, so you don't know anything about anything and you call that dark energy and dark matter. And that constitutes over 90% of everything that ever existed. And that's what you call, ugh. Wow, that's pathetic.
But these are great percentages of the universe. Something on the order of 90% of the universe is...
Oh, what do you know? Hey, shout out to PhD, guys.
This dark energy or dark matter. And then we have the concept of zero-point energy, which is essential for quantum theory.
Hey, look. PhD, President, Institute for Frontier Science. Thanks, Beverly. Thanks, Bev.
But there's like a sea of vibration, a fundamental substrate out of which there are fluctuations that become particles or waves in quantum theory that we measure in experiments.
Mhm.
But the absolute sea of energy, which is enormous, it's on the order of 10 to the 90th grams per cubic centimeter mass equivalent, is practically an infinite amount of energy in a cubic inch.
And I gather, now that I think about it, right about the same time that the concept of ether was discarded, many new concepts were developed to replace it, like wave-particle duality, that matter isn't either a pure wave or a pure particle. They seem incompatible, and yet somehow matter is both.
Matter is both. Manifesting in some experiments, it depends on your observation tool.
Yeah.
If you put up something to see waves, you're going to see waves. If you put up an instrument to see particles, you count particles.
Which suggests the role of consciousness
Exactly.
in all of this. And when you bring up the idea of the akasha as the ancient Vedic equivalent of the ether, once again, we're invoking consciousness.
And I think that should be part of the unified field.
Mm-hmm.
When we get there, it must contain consciousness. Of
Mhm.
course, that's not where conventional science is grasping, I think. They're still looking to unify electromagnetism, strong force, weak force, and gravity.
Yeah.
And yet they've not considered consciousness. You know, it's really not part of science. It's amazing how it has not yet permeated academia.
Well, consciousness is not part of physics. It's part of psychology as a science, I suppose. But in any case, it's ironic that you can't do physics without consciousness.
Yes.
And yet somehow consciousness has no role in physics, except, of course, for people like Max Planck and the other founders of the field of quantum physics who suggested, as I think you're suggesting, that consciousness is fundamental.
It is fundamental. And in one view of interpretation of quantum theory, a conscious observer is collapsing the wave function.
Mhm.
But in other views, it's not essential.
Right.
So it depends on your interpretation.
A lot of physicists want to do away with the necessity for a conscious observer.
Amazingly so.
Yeah.
It's like, reminds me of philosopher Dennett, who denies consciousness, yet wrote a book called Explaining Consciousness.
Yeah.
And then he says there really is no consciousness.
Right.
He's out of his own mind, in my opinion.
Daniel Dennett.
Daniel Dennett.
Right. And many people say his book should be titled Consciousness Explained Away.
Yes, that's a much better title. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say with the quantum, we have the resurgence of an ether, even though it's never called that. You know, once a term has been discarded from science, whether it's ether or vital force, we don't see it re-entering. I would say
Ooh, what was that, Bev? Bev, repeat that.
resurgence of an ether, even though it's never called that. You know, once a term has been discarded from science, whether it's ether or vital force, we don't see it re-entering. I would say historically the ether.
Well, it has to re-enter because people like me do live research on it, and then other people get seeps into their consciousness into different parts of the whole entire plane. That's called a 100 monkey. Oh, I don't believe in that. Well, too bad. Doesn't matter whether you believe in it or not. Still true.
Force, we don't see it re-entering. An ether, even though it's never called that. You know, once a term has been discarded from science, whether it's ether or vital force, we don't see it re-entering. I would say historically the ether became many things in the late 19th century, a kind of soft, malleable concept to fit the chemist, the physicist, etc. And so it was too wishy-washy in the end, and that's probably the real reason it disappeared. You know, Tesla was working on trying to bring the world free energy, and I think he was probably working at the level of the ether.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's fortunate that we didn't get that 100 years ago, given the status of, let's say, ethics and morality of humanity, because if we made a weapon based on the ether and the amount of energy in a cubic inch, it might have undermined everything. So
now you're talking about 0 point energy.
the 0 point, the most fundamental energy that is enormous and much bigger than atomic energy and nuclear energy.
Mm-hmm.
So, but someday maybe we will harness that etheric energy. And I think it's something that happens with intent in small ways in Psi, in parapsychology.
Well, it's interesting that Hal Puthoff, the physicist who pioneered the research in what we now call remote viewing, is also the very same physicist who's regarded as one of the pioneers in the very notion of 0 point energy.
Yes, he is, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So through intention, we can manifest something that wasn't there before, and it seems miraculous, but it might be collapsing a little bit of that randomness at the level of the 0 point energy, making it coherent, cohering it.
Well, and I've done many interviews with the scientist, philosopher Bernardo Kastrup, who is an idealist philosopher, and basically idealism in philosophy is pretty much what Max Planck said. Consciousness is fundamental. Everything emerges from consciousness. Matter is an epiphenomenon of consciousness. He argues for that and often refers to what some people would call universal consciousness, meaning not my individual consciousness, your individual consciousness. Those are considered like little wrinkles in universal consciousness. That might be another way of thinking of what was once called the ether.
I think so. I would say the substrate, which we might call the ether, is not only the substrate for matter and energy, but also consciousness. So we can consider that as this sea. And of course, the sea has a vibration and sometimes manifests tiny fluctuations, little waves, and sometimes large, enduring waves, even tsunamis that might be considered more hard and fast like matter. But, you know, nobody's ever seen an atom. It's interesting. We have the idea that matter.
Wait, now, what was that, Bev? You got to repeat that for these atomists out there, because that's what they're called, atomists. They believe that atoms exist, that there's little particles, because they seen them on a microscope. I seen it in my simulation.
But, you know, nobody's ever seen an atom. It's interesting. We have the idea that matter is hard and fast, but matter has a lot of empty space. And with it, I think, is part of the sea of consciousness. Right in there.
Well, then I have to come back because you said nobody has ever seen an atom. I thought I saw a photograph.
Oh, shit. Wait. Did you just trigger the interviewer? He said, I have to come back.
I have to come back because you said nobody has ever seen an atom. I thought I saw a photograph where they used atoms, maybe it was molecules, to spell out the letters IBM on one occasion.
Well, it's always a representation of an atom through some process, but the concept of an atom per se.
Oh, it's the representation of an atom through a computer process. Oh. The representation of an atom through a computer-generated process. Oh, I got it. See, increased my intelligence more, globeheads. That's the problem with you guys. Globeheads, you don't have enough intelligent material to increase your intelligence. You run out. And then you just start fucking, it's like negative entropy. It's like a double opposite. You start feeding off yourself. You become demons, soulless, vessels. Flat Earth is using the astral light like a white magician.
Sea of consciousness. Right in there.
Well, then I have to come back because you said nobody has ever seen an atom. I thought I saw a photograph where they used atoms, maybe it was molecules, to spell out the letters IBM. On one occasion.
Well, it's always a representation of an atom through some process, but the concept of an atom per se is just a theoretical construct.
Well,
did you hear that again?
Some process, but the concept of an atom per se is just a theoretical construct.
The process of an atom is a theoretical construct.
I have to come back because you said nobody has ever seen an atom. I thought I saw a photograph where they used atoms, maybe it was molecules, to spell out the letters IBM on one occasion.
Well, it's always a representation of an atom through some process, but the concept of an atom per se is just a theoretical construct.
Well, that's very interesting. We take atoms to be real. And not only atoms, but all the particles, electrons, protons, quarks, even the up quark, the down quark, the charged quark. These are all very real.
Yeah, they're all fake.
Are quite invisible to us.
Well, it's called the particle zoo, I think, to the physicists. And it seems like if they throw something with greater force in those accelerators.
The particle zoo. You got a particle shit zoo shitting around. You throw it at the wall, and it makes a big sound. It makes a quirky, and you do a little electron. That's what it's all about. Quark.
They get more pieces, just like throwing a face against something with greater force, and
are quite invisible to us.
Well, it's called.
And not only atoms, but we take atoms to be real. And not only atoms, but all the particles, electrons, protons, quarks. Even.
They're not real, buddy. Your mind's fucking blown.
These are all very real, but are quite invisible to us.
Well, it's called the particle zoo, I think, to the physicists. And it seems like if they throw something with greater force in those accelerator experiments, they get more pieces, just like throwing a vase against the wall. You get bigger, you get more fragments. And that's what it seems to me, that particle physics is nothing more than smashing matter into tinier and tinier pieces. I don't know if there's a bottom line.
Ooh, particle physics just got shit on, bro. She calls you guys a zoo, and you guys are just throwing shit against the wall. And You don't even know if there's a bottom line. Yo, Beverly just fucking roasted the particle physicist, bro. Did you hear old Bev? Yeah, dude. That's for the shit. Yo. What's up, Candor? No. Remote viewing is evil. That's hilarious. Yo, like and share, subscribe, and hit the bell button. Almost done.
I gather that the bottom line for some would be what they call the quantum plenum.
Yes.
Oh shit! I was supposed to have now the quantum plenum. I was supposed to have a thing on it right here, right now. Shit. Now I'm gonna do a whole separate video on the quantum plenum because that is quite interesting. Fuck. You guys ever hear of the quantum plenum? I actually mentioned it earlier. I think it said plenum somewhere on something that I was reading or listened to, or I just might have mentioned it. And then yeah, because I was doing some research into it, and I was like, holy shit! Like that is some interesting shit here. You guys ever hear of the quantum plenum? Uh-oh. Starting to lose your interest. It's not much longer, you stupid fucks. Jesus, I'm sorry. I mean, what the hell is your problem? I'm not saying that to you. I say you stupid fucks because there's just, I mean, like, really? I mean, like, really? See? Yeah, here it is. That's good here. The cosmic plenum. I mean, that's good shit right there. The cosmic plenum. I mean, that's it. I mean, they just have all these different scientific terms. Now, hold on. Let this load. This will take a second to load here. Let me switch over. Let me go back to this.
That would be.
Or another way to think of it would be the Schrodinger probability waves. That it's like a probability cloud that some people would suggest is the fundamental basis of reality.
Well, Einstein didn't like that. You know, he said God doesn't play dice with the universe.
Yeah.
So, nor did David Bohm, who was studying with Einstein.
Right.
But rather, he just couldn't accept it, and he tried to get a more classical view of reality, even to squeeze that out of quantum theory.
Mm-hmm.
So, lots of people are unhappy with the quantum realm because of this probability nature of the substrate of reality. It does feel uncomfortable and counterintuitive.
Einstein said famously that the quantum theory implied spooky action at a distance, but now that's been confirmed by multiple experiments. You and I were involved in our student days at Berkeley with many of the people who were working on that problem. And,
Yes.
and so now quantum entanglement is considered well accepted in physics. And even though it's quite mysterious, that it suggests, as I understand it, every particle in the universe is somehow instantaneously connected with each other.
Yes.
Okay, now she says yes. He just mentioned quantum entanglement. So I'll go back to the. This is that. Now this is from October 24th, 2010, and it is by another PhD, Hamid Ali. And this is non-duality and quantum entanglement from the Science and Non-Duality Conference. And he's the founder of the Diamond Approach. So, postmodern philosophy favors the conclusions of quantum theory, that observation depends on the observer. Non-dual experience eliminates the separate self. This is why there is no separation between observer and observed. The The shit's quite interesting. I was a non-dualist in the early 2010s. So before 2012, I was in the non-duality world. So like, I stuck with non-duality up into my flat Earth in the beginning of the flat Earth in 2014. So let's see here, and I kind of abandoned non-duality this past couple of years, and but now I'm finding it back. Oh shit! So now let's see here. So I made a video about the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, the post Heisenberg uncertainty principle. I did that recently, actually, and how that relates to the correspondence theory. And so now, postmodern philosophy favors the conclusions of quantum theory. That observer depends on the observation depends on the observer. Non-dual experience eliminates the separate self. This way, there is no separation between observer and observed. So, like, people think that there's a separation between the observer and the observed because of the two separate words. Well, yeah, I have to observe it, and of course, the double slit experiment. So which is wave duality, particle duality. So they can't figure out if it's a particle or a wave, and that's non-duality. And all this shit comes from that, which is observer and observed, Schrodinger's cat, all this bullshit. So now you got non-dual experience, which eliminates the separate self. This way there is no separation between observer and observed. This is a whole different fucking paradigm in reality tunnel. But this challenges Heisenberg uncertainty principle, favoring Einstein's contention that quantum theory can only be an approximation. Non-dual realization, however, reveals that even dual experience is a manifestation of non-duality. So, like, there's all these atheists and dualists, I call them. They live in yin-yang world. Well, yeah, there's, there's clearly, good and evil, but they just are totally stuck in good-evil dual experience world. So the non-dual realization is that it reveals that even dual experience of duality is a manifestation of non-duality, for there is no separate self to create dual experience. So such insight takes us back to the postmodern constructionist philosophy that experience is always relative to experiencer. But it also points to a way of inquiry grounded in non-dual truth that can apply to both spiritual practice and scientific research. So this is where I come in. We can investigate any inner or outer phenomenon as long as we include the investigator in our exploration, since they always arise together and are fundamentally non-dual. Using such inquiry, we can appreciate that physical reality and non-dual awareness are intimately connected, and we can see the usefulness of the insights of spiritual perception and scientific discovery to each other. Man, that is good. I like this guy. We also see that neither science nor spiritual teachings fully understand matter, where I believe both are needed to fully unlock matter's mystery. But this necessitates true understanding of space and time. Einstein tried to disprove quantum theory, but Bell theory proved the latter to be true. We can use the phenomenon of entanglement to inquire into non-dual experience, to take it to a more radical non-duality, which reveals that entanglement can be an expression of a more fundamental truth to reality. It also penetrates the non-dual experience of timelessness and spacelessness to a view of reality that gives a more complete understanding of time and space. This view that encompasses both time and timelessness, space and spacelessness, becomes relevant to the attempt of physics to understand what happens to time and space in the singularities at the center of black holes and the Big Bang. See, that's just insane. This radical non-duality gives us the perception of how this singularity is ever present in the evolution of the universe and in all experience. Science and spirituality are quite apart at the present time, but a method of inquiry can apply equally to both, holds the promise of revealing how the two reveal reality in contemporary ways. The truth according to Popaji, Guru. Joyologists? I never heard of that. That's hilarious. A joyologist. I'm going to have to look into that. There's probably a whole shit ton of them that label themselves a momentarian. That is awesome. I never heard of that either. So this will be Papaji's first live appearance. Oh, okay, cool. Is this dude still alive? That's cool. Papaji does not prepare his talks about what he doesn't even know. That is amazing. That's exactly what I do. I love this guy. I'm going to have to look into this guy too. He never has any idea what he will be talking about. This is fucking incredible. I love that. But rest assured, he will selflessly share his vast knowledge list. I love that. And wisdom. Wisdom! Now that is incredible. Now that is amazing. I'm gonna have to fucking look into this shit. But that's why I did it. That's copyright the white-robed monks of Saint Benedict. That's some good shit right there. PhD. And this dude's still alive, apparently, hopefully. Oh, Jeff Foster? That's cool. I know that fucker. Well, that's dope. That's why I read it. Because it links in together, folks. Everything that I've been researching is linking together. Love that. And this speech and lecture and video is almost completed. My presentation is almost complete. This is a live and authentic and organic presentation compiled by Flatter Some Genius. I thank you for being here. I hope you like, and I hope you continue to watch and binge watch my old videos at 1.25 or 1.5 speed if you can handle it in the settings. Hit this little guy and enjoy.
As we are, in some way as well.
And that instantaneous connection across the entire universe, would you say that's somehow a new way of speaking about what was once thought of as the ether?
I think so, yes. Again, the ether is a substrate connecting everything geometrically or in some fundamental way, tying everything together. It's another way of seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so many ways the ether-like things come back to us in modern physics. Dark energy, dark matter, quantum plenum, zero-point energy, this quantum sea of fluctuating energies.
Mm-hmm.
We can't dismiss these things.
Well, certainly as a parapsychologist, I have to say there are hundreds and hundreds of experiments now that show that the human mind is capable of interacting both at an informational level and at a kinetic level with targets, let us say, that are in distant locations in space and time. That suggests, properties of the universe, properties of consciousness, space, and time that are not understood by contemporary physics.
Exactly. And I think Bill Tilley's experiments show that if you repeat experiments and engage intention to make nourishing change like that in matter or a biological system, and you do that over and over again in the same location, in the same laboratory, it happens more readily. It's as if you are changing space fundamentally with conscious intention.
Yeah. And we see that as well in parapsychology and psychometry experiments, where a talented psychometrist or psychic can hold an object, perhaps some archaeological finding, and or even look at it, not necessarily hold it, but focus on that object, and can pick up, one might say, the memories that are attached to the object itself and describe how it was once used, what it was for.
Something that happened to me in relation to that, someone handed me a rock and said, "Tell me what you feel."
Yeah.
And the rock became so hot I had to drop it. I said, "It's like, I'm on fire. What is this rock?" He said, "This rock was in the first nuclear detonation."
Wow.
In the desert.
Mm-hmm.
So interestingly, I could pick that up. But I think even inner so-called unconscious matter can retain the memory of its history. And I don't even know if it's unconscious. Maybe that's not fair. Consciousness, they permeate everything, actually. And we just download our little piece. Somehow it's an individual core of divinity that we are.
Mm-hmm. Well, it raises many philosophical questions when we talk about consciousness that way. And of course, there's been many discussions on this channel approaching that question from different angles. But what you're suggesting here is that the concept of the ether, as it's been used both in 19th century physics and in ancient philosophy, isn't dead at all.
No, the ether is alive and well. It just has many new names in science. But what's interesting is that they don't talk to one another. You know, the dark matter, dark energy people, I don't think are thinking about quantum plenum, and nobody's thinking much about consciousness and how that fits.
Okay, now, before I see, now this is the quantum plenum PDF here. Sounds of Wonder. Now this is, look at all this stuff. The quantum plenum, the hidden key to life, energetics and sentience, science and mysticism, and how they can be reconciled in the new tomorrow. Science, mysticism, and the new tomorrow. PhD. What do you know? Here's another PhD. Oh, here's another PhD. It's so weird, Dan. It's like the only research you do is constructive research and legitimate research from people of all types, men and women, that have PhDs in their crafts and in their respective fields. Isn't that something? While you share me links of like joke and comedians writing a blog. Here, this blog is the reason why the earth is round. Don't you see? The ship goes down and you can't, there's no way you could possibly zoom back in on the ship. I mean, I seen it disappear. You can't zoom back in on the ship. But, I mean, look at, oh, what do you know here? The board of directors here, let's see here. Oh, PhD. Oh, PhD. Oh, subtle energies and energy medicine. Oh, PhD. 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 MA. MD. PhD. 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 The quantum plenum. The hidden key to life. Energetics and science. Hey, folks, this is only about 12, 13 pages long here. Guess what? Yeah, 12 pages long. I'm going to read all of it, and I'm not going to read it with you, because the certain people, there's just not enough people here, and so it's not worth it. You know, with all of my, I connect all of these different fields of science and philosophy. That's not an easy thing to do, folks. It's not easy to connect the psychedelic, the material, the quantum, the etheric, the esoteric, the flat earth and the globe earth, the spiritual, the comedic, and the sport realm. It's not easy to combine all of these realms together like I have so flawlessly, but someone's got to do it. Mark Cummings is a theoretical physicist and engineer, has been working to more deeply understand the nature of what is conventionally called energy. He has also delved deeply into the world's spiritual wisdom traditions and discovered deep congruences with many scientific principles. For over 25 years, he has been working to articulate a coherent, mathematical, rigorous, clear, precise, and comprehensive spirit-based science, or science of consciousness. You mean like what we've been talking about? That can serve to bridge and resolve the long-standing conceptual and epistemological rift between science and spirituality. Thank you, quantum plenum. For a long time, I've been aware of some fundamental mysteries around energy. First of all, the basic question, what is energy? Well, this is all very interesting stuff here. Biophysicist, physiologist, all PhDs. PhD. Dan, stop researching PhD people. Stop reading books, stop researching, stop increasing your intelligence, Dan. Geometrodynamics. Oh, okay. in his book Geometrodynamics, damn dude, come up with a calculation by applying the principles of general relativity to the quantum realm. Derp derp derp, quantum vacuum, quantum plenum. Oh man, I mean, this is just going to be good stuff here. I'm going to read this entire goddamn thing. Ooh, electromagnetism, yeah, electromagnetism, yeah, spectrums of light, yeah. So yeah, this is going to be great. Vorticular dynamics in the luminous medium. Oh, biomolecules, inorganic material. This coherent field of the quantum plenum has the property of a fundamental pre-quantum coherence. Yeah, it doesn't sound like gibberish at all. But, you know, you got to do some reading sometimes that you don't really want to do. I don't want to, I mean, that's the thing. You got to read other shit that you don't really want to learn about. I mean, do I really want to learn about this? Not really. But I got to learn about biocoupling mechanisms that translates the indwelling energy potential of the quantum plenum into useful bioenergetic currents that has not yet been adequately articulated or even conceptualized, folks. I mean, nevertheless, I believe that we have a powerful clue to this mystery in the fact that there lies an indwelling reservoir of immense energy within the very structure of space itself, which radiantly pervades all living organisms. Oh, the vital force as well as all that arises into material form. Oh, you mean like the etheric akashic force? Oh man, it's so fucking funny. Thank you, Darren. I really appreciate that. So now I don't need to do that. Yeah, that's I mean, there's more. This is all dynamic patterns of space here, and we're trying to help our physical organism process the data. And yeah, there's going to be a lot of references from all my PhD friends that I study in the isometric contradiction worlds of interest. And yeah, it's good shit here. Ultimately, we are the plenum. We are utterly continuous with this field. There is really no see, it's great. There's no separation. That's what I just read. Remember, I just read that. I just read that there's a let's see here, no separate self. There's no difference between it eliminates the separate self. Yeah. So there's no separation between the observer and the observed, remember? That's why I'm tying this all together for you folks. I narrated what I was going to do. I did a pretty damn good job, I think, without preparing. Although, if I did prepare, I would do a much better job. But I don't know. Would I learn more or less? I don't know. I'll have to do it. I'll have to do a future one where I prepare more. But I like not preparing so much, just like this guy, who he doesn't prepare. He doesn't know, but he's going to share his vast knowledgelessness and wisdom. And it may unfold in a number of possible ways. He may choose to sit in silence, or he may not speak about subjects he knows. He may or may not speak about subjects he knows nothing about. Love it. Chicken tiki masala. I fucking love it. Maybe he'll have an impromptu non-dual duel with the likes of Jeff Foster. Now that is incredible. Maybe he'll have an impromptu non-dual duel with the likes of Jeff Foster, who is a non-dualist. He's a famous non-dualist. You wouldn't see. You don't get the joke. Like I'm wow. What kind of a non-dual comedian? That's hilarious. That's not even hilarious at all. I'm laughing at my own jokes, and there's probably like 1 or 2 people that are laughing in the chat room, or even watching at this point. Who knows? No one can know for sure. But one thing is for sure. Papa G is not an authority or expert on any subject. He doesn't really know anything and is more than happy to share his wisdom about what it is that he doesn't know. And even what he doesn't even know, he doesn't know. Let me say that. He doesn't really know anything and is more than happy to share his wisdom about what it is that he doesn't know, and even what he doesn't even know he doesn't know, as only he can. Now that is incredible. See, that's an introduction to non-dual thinking and non-duality and non-dual experience, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to finish this off here with the last 2 minutes of old Bev here. Bev, Jeffrey, I'm so happy. Jeffrey Mishlove, everyone go subscribe to his channel, New Thinking Aloud, and go try to contact him and get an interview, which I will be doing, and hopefully. I say that all the time. But, you know, look at that, 212, 2 dislikes, love it. Love it. And, yeah, thank you for being here.
Ancient philosophy isn't dead at all.
No, the ether is alive and well. It just has many new names in science. But what's interesting is that they don't talk to one another. You know, the dark matter, dark energy people, I don't think are thinking about quantum plenum, and nobody's thinking much about consciousness and how that fits in.
The akasha.
So there's a compartmentalization which continues in science. Instead of somebody really trying to pull this all together, some of us, like you and I are, but I would say academic science is gaining more compartmentalization and not pulling it together.
Well, in fact, I suppose it's fair to say that one of the real problems in academia as a whole, universally, is over-specialization. People become, they know more and more and more about narrower and narrower and narrower fields of study, that there are very few generalists, and people who do interdisciplinary work are largely frowned upon.
It's almost impossible to get a position in academia if you were a generalist or multidisciplinary. You need to be in your little slot over here and stick to the boundaries of that. I remember when I was at Temple University and had conferences on mind and matter, for example, and invited the philosophy department. Suddenly they were miffed that I, a biophysicist, was in their turf talking about mind and matter. That was philosophy, they said, not science, and I shouldn't tread over there. And as a result, they weren't interested in coming to the conference.
I see.
So, I mean, there's turfdom in academia, very clearly delineated by the field, and it's a very unfortunate thing because nobody's building a grand, unified view of reality.
Well, there are a few people who do that outside of academia. Yes. Of course, my mentor, Arthur Young, was one such person. You knew him, as I recall.
Yes, of course. So it's just not happening in a big way in academia. There's always a few scholars who, and Arthur was an armchair philosopher.
I'm going to have to research Arthur here.
Brilliant man. And we all learned a lot from him in those days. Fond memories.
Yes, indeed. Well, Beverly Rubik, it's once again a pleasure to be with you. Thank you so much for coming to Albuquerque and being with me.
Thank you so much, Jeffrey.
And thank you for being with us.
Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. I learned so much, and I hope you did too. Copyrights obviously go to Jeffrey there, but he gave me permission. So let's see here. Yep, good stuff. All right, everyone, did you guys like that presentation? Was that good or what? Did we learn a lot here? I learned a lot. And now I can get rid of all these tabs. That's my goal here, folks. You noticing my tabs are getting? I'm going to get rid of so many tabs. I still have to read this. I got to read the quantum plenum article by all my PhD friends. But then I can get rid of all these tabs. This Church of the Subgenius, fucking man. I'm not happy with the co-founders. I agree more with one of them than the other. I'm not going to say who, but one of the co-founders, him and I get along a lot better and get along very well compared to the other one. And I'm not going to name names, but I'm just going to confront them and talk with them and interview one of them, if not both of them. And it's going to be great, Subgenius Slack full interview. And yeah, I hope you guys really learned something, because I did. And I'm going to revisit this just like I'm going to revisit and commentate and watch myself on a faster speed, getting interviewed by Patricia Steer, and I'm going to learn from that, and I'm going to expose myself and Patricia Steer even more. I mean, why not? What do you? Oh, Patricia, don't think that I'm attacking you, and I mean, I wouldn't want to do that. I'm literally going to be making fun of myself in my own video. It was you interviewing me. You asked to interview me, and I wanted to get interviewed, and so we had a very good interview, which gave a lot of information out to a lot of different flat earthers. And you told me yourself, out of all the interviews that you did prior to that, that was the interview with the most information, links, and different correlations to different topics covered. The most topics covered that you ever had on your channel before that was probably like, I think I was like number 90 or something like that, somewhere around there. But yeah, so thank you for the shout out, Patricia. Appreciate that. And like my buddy told me earlier, when he was researching my name on the internet, Patricia, you were shouting me out in 2015 and 2016, saying, "Yeah, Rudon Flat Earth Subgenius for calling out the Globe Earth comedians." Because I'm the first person, the second ever flat Earth comedian to call out and make a term. You are called the Globe Earth comedians. That's what you are. If you'll notice, Globe Earth comedians, they all look really unhealthy. They're usually fat and bald and short, and really have low grade material and not funny in general. So yeah, I hope you guys learned a lot. If you were interviewed by Patricia Steer on Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes, go and make a Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes series. Commentate yourself being interviewed. Commentating myself being interviewed by Patricia on her, and then make the acronym. Boom. Got yourself a new Flat Earth videos series that everyone's going to be doing. I will. Nice. What's up, Elliot? There is no Adam. Atomless gunk world. Pseudoscience separates the way reality of science, which is quantum, in what it finds as fundamental. Ooh. Thanks for the books, Elliot. Hell yeah. Cool. I'm glad that Wave BMX and Elliot are. Okay, no. Awesome. What's up, Data? The ether is real. Was that? Oh, there you are. It is what moves our communication and technology. Yeah, definitely. Ethernet. In plain sight as it is. Ether network. Cool. I'm glad you guys all. Awesome. Harmony to y'all. Good knowledge. Clean tabs for the next picture of the whole puzzle piece. Yes, exactly. David Foster Wallace explores the problems with the whole and the parts. Yeah, it reminds me of Fitzroy Chopra, his systems theory. Systems within systems. Sometimes systems are organic. There's organic systems and inorganic systems. It's the systems way of thinking. It's an interesting theory. It's the systems theory. But yeah, I mean, I love it. It's just awesome. I just love it. That was fun. I'm gonna close this out, and I'm not gonna read this quantum plenum today, I don't think, just because I just learned so much about all these different non-dual and quantum entangling principles, like the ether force, and by redefining and rethinking these things with you guys and learning. That was fun. Oh, I'm so happy. Watch. And oh no, I gotta like look up these people still, so I can't like get rid of it yet. But what I can get rid of, I can't even really get rid of that because I have to watch some of those videos. This I think I can get rid of. I don't want to. I don't feel like looking into this. I'll look into that later. Although that's really interesting to me. I'm getting rid of that. Go away! I know. I'm sick of these fucking tabs. I want to delete all these goddamn tabs. And throw this fucking computer in the sea. Throw my phone in the fucking sea. Honestly, That'd be amazing, just to get rid of my phone and my computer. To be completely off. Having and being guided by my internal computer system, biocomputer. Oh, one could dream, one could dream. Yeah, like and share this, and you know, check out the description and join my group and groups. It's important that you do that. All right, later.